There is a specific kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. You wake up early in the morning and you immediately try to force strict discipline into your daily routine despite the fatigue. You desperately try to ignore your heavy and negative mood, yet you constantly find yourself drifting off again. Stop what you are doing right now and listen to my voice. You need to truly listen to these important words because the next few minutes will completely change how you view your struggle. You read all the right books and you set the early alarms because you intensely want to build a better life for yourself. You build the strict routines while the rest of the world sleeps, and yet the massive breakthrough you were promised never actually arrives. It feels like you are driving forward with the emergency brake pulled tight. You watch other average people succeed with a tiny fraction of the hard effort, and it feels like a heavy, dark curse is holding your massive potential back. I need you to hear this loud truth very clear. This is not a lack of strong effort on your part. You do not have a weak and fragile discipline problem. You actually have a deep biological mental programming problem. Deep within the complex architecture of your subconscious mind, there is a very heavy weight, and it quietly sabotages every conscious step you take toward real wealth and inner peace. The loud motivational speakers constantly yell at you to grind. They tell you to ignore your bad mood and force the daily habit. But you already know deep down that brute force does not work forever. Human willpower is exactly like a very small temporary battery, and your specific mental battery drains completely before noon every single day because you are endlessly fighting against your own natural biological state. But by Wednesday afternoon, the invisible resistance violently pulls you back down to the bottom. The drifter inside your mind completely takes over the steering wheel. The true and powerful creator is aggressively pushed aside. And the terrible, endless cycle of heavy guilt begins all over again inside your head because you falsely believe that you are just a lazy and undisciplined man. This endless, vicious cycle is actively destroying your highest human potential. It aggressively drains away your natural and powerful masculine energy. It leaves you feeling like a total imposter in your own life. What if the intense resistance you fiercely feel every morning is not a fatal character flaw, but rather a hidden mechanical error in your physical brain? The absolute truth is far more mechanical than you have ever been taught to believe. Before we dive deeper into the actual mechanics, I want to plant a vital seed. There is something very important hidden from the general public. It is a biological secret funded exclusively by elite billionaires, and it has been rigorously verified by top-tier neuroscience research over many decades. This secret explains something I know you have deeply and painfully felt. It clearly reveals the massive gap between the wealth you visualize and your current reality. I will reveal exactly what this is before we finish our lesson today. You were born into a harsh physical system designed to keep you trapped, and you desperately need to see the invisible enemy holding you back. So please hold this extremely important question in your mind right now. What if your inability to stay consistent is not a tragic lack of discipline? What if your struggle to attract abundance is simply a dormant frequency you never knew how to turn on? The elite 1% do not use willpower to build their massive financial empires. They use a biological brain switch that you do not even know exists. They operate on a completely different and extremely powerful mental wavelength. While you are aggressively grinding your gears, they are flowing smoothly downstream. Yours has been forcefully powered down by the relentless stress of modern survival, and the endless stack of bills keeps you trapped in a low vibration. It is a biological block passed down carefully from generation to generation. It quietly sabotages your highest potential before you even wake up in the morning. Most average people will go to their graves believing they did not work hard enough. But you are definitely not like most average people who blindly accept their fate, and you are watching this lesson because your sharp intuition told you something is missing. You clearly felt the loud internal call to ultimate human greatness, but you did not know how to correctly structure your chaotic mind. Today we are going to tear down the weak habits of the average man. Prepare yourself right now because you are about to step into your true power, and you will finally stop playing the weak victim to your daily circumstances. Human motivation is a deeply weak and highly unreliable, fleeting emotion. It entirely depends on the bad weather and your low blood sugar. Strict discipline is much better, but forcing it requires massive daily energy. It is the perfect alignment of your biological frequency with your highest ambition. And when those two elements perfectly match your physical action, becomes fully automatic. This is the ultimate liberation from the exhausting hustle culture you were aggressively sold. The vast universe does not ever respond to weak and desperate beggars. It only responds to powerful and unyielding dominant commanders. It responds to the man who has taken absolute control over his internal battlefield and who refuses to let his temporary emotions dictate his permanent reality. If you cannot completely discipline your racing thoughts, you will never command your reality. Chaos in the human mind always breeds chaos in the bank account. But extreme mental order breeds absolute power over your entire physical destiny. The exact moment you bring your attention under strict order, the world steps aside, and it respectfully bows to your clear and highly focused direction. Here is the brutal truth that no one will tell you. The human mind operates by strict universal law. It does not operate by your fleeting daily mood. You think you need more raw discipline to succeed. But discipline without biological alignment is just a very slow form of torture, and this is exactly why your intense morning routines eventually collapse into total exhaustion. You are fighting an invisible war inside your own head. Every time you force yourself to work, your conscious mind gives a loud and strict command. You tell yourself to focus. You tell yourself to build the massive empire. But your subconscious mind violently rejects the direct order because your biological receiver is currently tuned to the wrong frequency of survival. There are two distinct types of men in this modern world. There is the exhausted drifter and the sovereign creator. The drifter believes that hard physical labor is the only path to real wealth. He constantly burns himself out trying to force his stubborn reality to change. The creator understands that physical action is completely useless if his internal frequency is corrupted, and he refuses to waste his precious energy on a broken biological machine. The creator acts as the ultimate gatekeeper of his own mind. He knows that the vast universe works by strict law and not by clock. But the drifter is entirely controlled by a very dangerous internal state. Science calls this terrible state the survival wave. And this specific brainwave is the exact reason why the universe responds beautifully to the 1%, while it completely ignores your hardest efforts. When your brain is trapped in a survival wave, your vision narrows. You become highly reactive to every small annoyance. You stress over unpaid bills. You panic about your uncertain future. And every time you feel that deep financial anxiety, you are actively commanding your subconscious to keep you completely stuck in a state of lack. You are literally programming your own ultimate failure while you desperately work. Let us look at the raw biological reality of this problem. Deep inside your brain is a tiny walnut-sized region called the hippocampus. In the insanely wealthy 1%, this region is thick and highly developed. It constantly broadcasts a microscopic frequency that literally pulls money and lucrative opportunities toward them like a powerful vacuum. They do not have to force it. But for the average working man, the physical reality is much darker. Because you were not born into an 8-figure family, you inherited a massive biological disadvantage. You have a shrunken hippocampus. Instead of broadcasting a strong wealth frequency, your tired brain is trapped broadcasting a survival wave, and the modern world is heavily designed to keep your mind exactly in that weakened state forever. The endless stacks of bills and exhausting hustle culture drain your energy. Every time you stress over money, this tiny region shrinks a little bit more. Your natural God-given ability to attract massive abundance is pushed deeper and deeper into dormancy. This is why you can read every self-help book for years with zero physical results, because your internal receiver is completely powered down. You end up chasing money endlessly with tired brute force. Meanwhile, the elite 1% simply let the wealth flow to them effortlessly. It is a strict biological block passed down from generation to generation. It quietly sabotages your highest potential while you sleep. Most people will sadly go to their graves believing they just did not work hard enough, while the real truth is that they were biologically locked out of their own inheritance. But you are definitely not most people. Remember the vital question I asked you to hold a few minutes ago? The important question about whether your painful struggle was just a dormant frequency waiting to be switched on? You are about to see that the exact answer is not only scientifically proven by top experts, but it is actually much closer to your daily grasp than you could ever possibly imagine. Top-tier neuroscientists have recently discovered a precise acoustic frequency. This highly specific sound is fully capable of breaking this heavy biological dormancy. I will tell you exactly what this powerful tool is called later. But first, you must understand how this survival wave actively destroys your daily discipline, because your forced willpower is constantly fighting a losing battle against your own biology. Imagine trying to drive a fast car with no oil in the engine. You can press the gas pedal all the way down to the floor. The engine will roar loudly. The car might even violently jerk forward for a few miles. But eventually, the massive internal friction will completely destroy the entire machine, and this is exactly what happens when you try to force strict discipline while trapped in survival mode. Your willpower is the heavy foot on the gas pedal. The survival wave is the massive friction tearing your engine apart. You wake up at 5 in the morning. You take the cold shower. You aggressively write down your daily goals. But your shrunken hippocampus is violently screaming that you are in deep danger, and it floods your tired body with stress hormones until you finally collapse on the couch. And then the heavy guilt immediately sets in. You call yourself lazy. You tell yourself that you lack the mental toughness of a true winner, but you are judging yourself based on a massive biological lie. The sovereign commander does not fight against his own corrupted biology. He completely fixes the internal machine at its root level before he ever tries to drive his physical vehicle into the heavy and exhausting daily battle. This is the ultimate paradox of human discipline. The harder you force it, the faster you break down. The drifter relies entirely on his limited conscious effort, but the creator shifts his internal state so that discipline becomes an effortless automatic byproduct. You do not need to read another heavy book on time management because you actually need to fundamentally change your core brainwave frequency. When you successfully shift out of that heavy survival wave, everything changes. The massive internal resistance completely vanishes. You no longer need to drag yourself out of bed. You wake up with clear, absolute certainty about your ultimate mission. But before we get to the final practice, you need to deeply understand the strict architecture of your own mind and how the historical titans used it. Let us look to the example of the great historical titans like Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. Did they simply work much harder than everyone else around them? You have been completely lied to by society because they knew a deep secret that the masses heavily refused to believe. They knew that extreme wealth is never chased. It is naturally magnetized through a specific state of mind. The titans of industry did not rely on brute force. They spent many long years trying to unravel the deep mysteries of this exact internal brain power source. They deeply understood that their human mind was a powerful broadcasting station. If they constantly broadcasted fear, they would attract complete ruin. But if they tuned their frequency to absolute abundance, the world would bend. Now let us make this extremely practical for your daily life. This is not just some ancient spiritual philosophy. That is a strict biological law governing your mind. Modern science has finally caught up to what the great builders always knew. The elite billionaires secretly use this biological advantage every single day, and they actively fund massive legal teams to keep it heavily hidden. We must look at the highly classified research. Top-tier scientists confirm the existence of a microscopic wealth attraction brainwave. This powerful frequency remains completely dormant in 99% of the human population. The average man is walking around with a deactivated receiver, which means he is completely blind to his own massive potential. Clinical brain scans have recently revealed a shocking truth. The brilliant researchers looked deep inside the minds of the ultra-wealthy. They physically found a very thick and highly developed hippocampus. This tiny region is entirely responsible for pulling extreme luck and rare opportunities directly into your physical reality. But the exhausted drifter who constantly worries about money has a severely shrunken hippocampus. Your daily stress literally damages your biological receiver. The drifter tries to manifest money while his internal antenna is broken. He repeats forced affirmations while his brain broadcasts a loud survival wave. The universe absolutely cannot hear your weak words of hope. It only responds to the dominant energetic signature vibrating inside your physical brain, and it delivers exactly what you are broadcasting. Before we go any further, I have to share a massive breakthrough. This discovery changes absolutely everything you know about success. It is something the elite billionaires have spent vast fortunes to keep hidden from the general public. A rogue neuroscientist who formerly worked on top-secret CIA experiments regarding human potential recently leaked a shocking discovery. This rogue scientist and his elite team found a real way out. They discovered exactly how to wake up that dormant wealth frequency. They figured out how to rapidly reverse the terrible effects of a shrunken hippocampus. And they did not achieve this through decades of exhausting meditation or endless journaling. They completely bypassed the relentless and painful hustle mindset by using modern neurotechnology. They discovered something infinitely simpler and far more powerful. It is a precise and perfectly engineered 7-minute sound frequency. When listened to, this specific acoustic wave bypasses your conscious mind entirely, and it directly stimulates that tiny ancient region of your tired brain. 4 independent neuroscience labs have already verified this exact mechanism. Brilliant researchers on the campuses of Harvard and Yale are observing this right now. They found that once this specific frequency is heard, it forces the brain to shift. It completely stops broadcasting the heavy and destructive survival wave. It immediately flips the switch on your natural biological ability to attract wealth. It is a completely effortless ritual that requires absolutely zero hard physical labor. You just need 7 minutes a day in your own home. The massive energetic shift begins the very first time you listen. I will tell you exactly what this powerful tool is called before this message ends. I will show you how you can easily access this frequency for yourself. But first, there is one final piece of the complex puzzle you must deeply understand before moving forward. You must deeply understand why the traditional law of attraction has been failing you all these years. You have tried to think and grow rich. You visualized your ultimate dream life every single morning. But the secret the elite hide is that manifestation absolutely requires a physical biological receiver, and you simply cannot attract abundance on a survival wave. The massive gap between your current bank account and the elite is not hustle. It is definitely not a result of poor financial planning. It is simply a dormant microscopic brainwave that the elite are born with. While the rest of the world is left struggling on a heavily suppressed frequency, you are basically trying to make a phone call with a dead battery. The sovereign commander stops yelling at his broken phone. He simply plugs it directly into the correct power source. Your subconscious mind is a tireless and massive internal contractor. It builds exactly what you instruct it to build before you sleep. If you hand it a blueprint of intense fear, it will literally build a physical prison of poverty for you to wake up in tomorrow. You must fiercely protect your sacred mental gate. You must become the absolute ruler of your internal world. The drifter constantly lets the loud news and the angry society program his mind. He freely hands over his sovereign power to the chaotic masses. But the Creator cuts off all toxic inputs because he strictly controls the exact frequencies entering his sacred temple. You are watching this lesson right now because you are a true creator. You clearly felt the heavy drift, and you decided to completely reject it. You demand a life of absolute power and total freedom. But demanding it is only the very first step on this long journey. Now you must completely reprogram the broken biological machine, and you must rapidly install the precise mental architecture of an unstoppable titan. This brings us to the great paradox of human discipline. You have been taught that discipline means forcing yourself to endure painful tasks. The drifter relies on this exhausting method. But true discipline is actually the complete absence of internal resistance when your biology aligns with your massive goals. You do not force the mind to work, you simply remove the heavy friction. The sovereign commander does not use raw physical energy to fight his own biology. He uses specific daily rituals to completely reprogram it. Rituals bypass the weak conscious mind and speak directly to your deeper operating system. We are going to establish the exact mental protocol of the elite 1% right now. Listen closely and do not look away. The very first step is cosmic housekeeping. You cannot plant the sacred seeds of extreme wealth in a highly toxic environment. You must ruthlessly cut off all negative inputs. The daily news and the angry algorithms are heavily designed to keep your hippocampus shrunken, and they constantly feed your survival wave to keep you trapped. You must starve that survival wave today. Stop what you are doing right now and make a firm decision. Are you truly willing to protect your mental gate? The Creator treats his mind like a highly guarded, sacred temple. If a single thought does not build your empire, it must be destroyed immediately. You must become completely cold and calm when facing daily distractions, because your absolute focus is your most valuable currency. Now we move to the most critical practice of all. It is the sacred night ritual. Your subconscious is a tireless, massive contractor, and it takes whatever dominant emotion you feel before sleep to literally build your physical reality tomorrow. If you go to sleep stressing about unpaid bills, you are literally commissioning more poverty. You are actively designing your own ultimate ruin. You must totally hijack this biological mechanism tonight. 15 minutes before you sleep, you must shut down every single glowing screen. You step completely away from the chaotic noise of the struggling masses. You enter a state of deep stillness. This is where the true architect of destiny does his greatest work. You must hand the internal contractor a blueprint of absolute power. Say this powerful command aloud right now. I am no longer a helpless slave to my fleeting mood. Let the deep vibration of those words completely rewire your tired brain. You are taking back absolute control of the steering wheel. During this night ritual, you do not weakly hope for a better life, because hoping is for the powerless drifter. You formulate and design your exact reality. This requires a definite chief aim. You cannot hit a target that you have not clearly defined. The drifter has vague desires like wanting more money, and the vast universe completely ignores those vague desires. The sovereign commander has one single burning obsession. He writes it down with absolute certainty, and he demands it from the fabric of reality. I command you to write down your definite chief aim tonight. Do not just think about it weakly in passing. Write it down physically on paper. Treat this ancient tradition as extremely sacred. When you write it down, you are literally bringing an invisible frequency into the physical dimension. You are forcing the chaotic universe to beautifully organize around your direct command. The massive difference between the 1% and the masses is simply their dominant state of being. You must completely master the universal law of acting as if. You walk and talk like a powerful king, even if your bank account is currently empty. You do not wait for the massive wealth to arrive before you feel abundant. You must feel incredibly abundant to magnetize the real wealth. Your tired physical eyes will constantly tell you that you are still struggling, but your eyes only show you the past results of your old negative programming. You are currently living in the delayed shadow of your previous survival wave, and it takes time for the new reality to physically manifest. The Creator completely ignores the present physical illusion to focus on his new frequency. This is how you effortlessly collapse time. When your brainwave correctly shifts, the heavy internal resistance completely melts away. You no longer need to violently drag yourself out of bed at 5 in the morning. Your massive vision physically pulls you out of bed with incredible force. The daily work becomes a joyful, automatic expression of your new identity instead of a painful, forced chore. You now know the exact hidden mechanism. You deeply understand that you cannot outwill a severely misprogrammed mind. The drifter will hear this profound wisdom and do absolutely nothing. He will quickly return to his invisible prison tomorrow morning. The true creator will equip himself with every tool available to secure his empire. Which one of these men are you today? By the end of this lesson, you will make the ultimate choice. You are rapidly approaching the absolute boundary line. On one side of the line is the exhausting hustle culture that keeps your hippocampus shrunken, while on the other side is the quiet and effortless power of the elite 1%. You are standing right on the absolute edge of your own magnificent biological evolution. Do not let this vital moment pass you by. You have been waiting your entire life for a clear answer to your silent exhaustion. The universe has perfectly aligned this exact message for your ears today. But the universe demands a definitive physical action from you. You must prove that you are finally ready to drop the heavy burden of your generational financial curse right now. We are about to enter the final stage. The time for learning the strict theory is completely over. It is now time for you to make a permanent and binding contract with your own mind. Prepare your energy for the final command. The next few minutes will determine the entire trajectory of your future reality. Listen closely and let these final words penetrate your deep soul. Remember the question I asked you to hold at the very beginning of this message? What if your deep financial struggle is not a lack of hard hustle, but a dormant frequency? Here is the final answer you have been waiting for. A microscopic wealth attraction frequency is naturally active in the elite 1%. It is driven entirely by a thick and highly developed hippocampus. Highly classified CIA research confirmed this exact biological truth. Brilliant researchers on the campuses of Harvard and Yale are observing it right now. Dr. Thomas Summers is a rogue neuroscientist who formerly worked on these top-secret experiments, and he totally refused to let elite billionaires keep this biological wisdom hidden from the public. But before I tell you what his elite team built, let me tell you about two people who actually used it. Emma was a former retired nurse from California, and she deeply felt her family was under a dark financial curse while she was completely drowning in massive debt. After just 3 days of listening to this frequency, she broke the cycle completely. She quit her heavy job and sold her house for way over the asking price. She now travels the world on passive income. Michael was a former policeman in Florida who used it to scale his struggling business. Within 5 short days, he rapidly quadrupled his high-paying clients. He suddenly found himself networking with wealthy Palm Beach elites who put him on television, and he said the rapid journey was almost effortlessly crazy. That is strictly because of what Dr. Summers discovered. They call this powerful protocol the billionaire brainwave. It is definitely not a cheap manifestation app. It is not a generic motivation tape that forces you to smile. It is a highly engineered 7-minute binaural sound wave designed to directly stimulate your hippocampus. That is the entirety of the physical work required. You just need 7 minutes in the morning with your headphones on while you sip your coffee, because the precise frequency does all the heavy lifting for your subconscious mind. The billionaire brainwave is absolutely not for everyone. It is uniquely built for the sovereign creator who has already done the heavy inner work. It is for the visionary who knows their lack of wealth is a blocked biological channel. Private neuroacoustic sessions to reverse a shrunken hippocampus cost thousands of dollars in a clinical setting. But this exact neurological shift is available to you today for a tiny fraction of its true value. It requires less than the cost of a few cups of coffee to claim your biological inheritance, and 4 extremely powerful bonuses are included today to completely support your new reality. You will receive the Warren Buffett Pyramid to manage your massive new wealth. You also get the 7 Lazy Millionaire Habits to decode the effortless routines of the elite 1%. A quick cash manifestation audio is included for emergencies alongside 500 billionaire success stories to anchor your mind. Here is the deeper truth about waiting. The immense wealth and lucrative opportunities you have been praying for are already circling you right now. The massive blessing is not missing because your biological receiver is simply broken. Delaying means letting your divine inheritance remain totally invisible. But you must fiercely guard your sacred energy. Do not look for this protocol on YouTube or Spotify. The fake tracks circulating on those platforms have zero binaural entrainment technology encoded. They are dangerous fakes heavily meant to distract you from the absolute truth. The only authentic and neurologically active version is available through the official link, and you can find this protected link in the description and the pinned comment below. This comes with the billionaire ironclad promise. The vast universe requires absolutely no financial risk from you today. If you do not experience a physical and undeniable increase in your wealth, every single penny is returned to you. It is a pure, energetic exchange governed by complete trust. The tool is definitely not your final destination. It simply repairs your broken biological receiver so the wealth you visualize can finally materialize. Massive abundance is your natural birthright. The universe requires no hard transaction for you to deserve it. What the brilliant researchers built is just one single accelerator, but you must still prepare your sovereign mind for the massive opportunities ahead. The powerful visionary who restores their internal receiver always attracts rare opportunities effortlessly. They completely bypass the exhausting struggle of the chaotic masses. If your sharp intuition confirms that the frequency tool described earlier is your missing key, the path remains open in the description below. That is the absolutely final time I will mention it. What remains right now belongs entirely to the sacred sealing of your new invincible mindset. You did not click this video by pure accident today. You came here as a man deeply exhausted by the drift, and you were entirely tired of playing the weak victim to your heavy circumstances. But today you have finally remembered exactly who you are. You are the ultimate gatekeeper of your own thoughts. From this exact night forward, you act independently of fleeting motivation. You are a powerful builder working in the invisible season. Stand up right now and claim your throne. You are the sovereign architect of your new reality. The world has absolutely no choice but to bend to your disciplined mind. The time for aimless drifting is officially over. You have heard the strict universal law, and you now know that every excuse you ever made was nothing but a heavy shadow. Tonight, as you close your eyes, you must make a final choice. Will you return to the chaos of the masses, or will you step into the quiet, absolute power of the 1%? If you are truly ready to command your destiny, you must seal your decision right now. Write your definite chief aim in the comments below. Let those powerful words be the binding contract you sign with the vast universe. Subscribe to this channel if you walk this elite path. Return to this sacred lesson every single night until your reality completely bends to your dominant will. You are an unstoppable force of nature, and your new abundant life begins in this exact moment.